Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Gossip Without Prejudice, the show wanted for mongoose smuggling in 3 Canadian provinces. Lindsey, how are you doing this week?
I'm great. I got a new coat that I'm very excited about.
The mink.
Just kidding.
And
Guinea pig.
mink, guinea pig, and also Arctic fox. We're speed running every single wildlife protection law there does exist. Anyways,
Please, side note, folks, please don't get legal advice.
Don't get legal advice from a podcast. Don't get fur smuggling advice from a podcast either.
We're just starting out. We're really not that good yet, so don't take our advice for it.
Ethics Council going to hate this one. For this week, we'll jump right into in the news.
What do we got going on?
I only have one notable story that's been making the rounds. Former Oxford Academy student passes state bar at a record of 17 years old.
Wow.
Yes.
That's incredible.
17-year-old Oxford Academy student just became the youngest person to pass the California bar exam. Sophia Park learned on November 8th that she passed the July 2024 exam, which will allow her to become a practicing lawyer in the state of California.
Wow. So there's no age limit. She's 17 and she can practice.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yeah, but that's actually one of the things I wanted to talk about. So Miss Park beat the record for youngest person to pass the state bar exam set by her older brother, Peter Park.
Oh, so there's precedent.
Yeah, not Peter Parker, Peter Park. He was just 3 months older when he passed the bar in 2023, according to the Tulane County District Attorney's Office, which announced Sophia Park's achievement this week. Park is a law clerk for the DA's office and will become a prosecutor next March, joining her brother, who is already working in the Tulane County office. So that tells me 2 things. So, one, she cannot actually be a lawyer until she's 18. Or at least touch any case files until she's 18.
I see. So there is an age limit there.
I think Tulane County is smart in that even if she technically could, if you learned that you got put in jail for life by a 17-year-old, that's a super appealable issue. And so I think they're going to have her fly second-seater almost no matter how competent she is until she's an adult.
Yeah, sure.
Second thing I want to talk about is that at 17, I have no doubt that she is a highly qualified and intelligent young woman.
She passed the bar.
Yeah, I could. And the California bar exam is renowned for being incredibly difficult. So extra props. Challenge. I don't think someone at 17 has the life experience to be an attorney in any capacity, especially since the reasonable person standard is such a big part of the legal system across the United States. Not that I'm saying that 25-year-olds that become attorneys are terribly wizened either. Sure. It's just the problem is even worse with a 17-year-old, because how do you have that perspective to judge who's who and what's what?
There's a huge gap of who you are as a person and what you know between 17 and 25.
No frontal lobe is a big problem. And so that gives me pause. And then third, I actually did some digging into their father. The fact that her brother did this too tells me it's a strong systemic, like it's a family thing.
Yeah.
And I was right. I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, but their father, Byung-Ju Park, he has written books about how to do this. And get your children through to the bar exam before they turn 18. I think her younger sibling is actually on track to do the same, I think a month or two younger next year.
So I wonder, so they have to get their Juris Doctor before they take the bar?
Yes. But
so they've already finished a 4-year college degree.
Yeah. Wow. She finished high school in 2022 after passing the California High School Proficiency Exam and graduated from Northwestern California University School of Law in 2024. In 2020 when she was 13 and attending Oxford Academy, I think, I'm not sure, but I do not actually think she has a bachelor's degree. And I have not confirmed this, but Northwestern California University School of Law, that is not a UC school. I do not think it's ABA accredited. So there is very clearly some very careful maneuvering of some kind that's going on here to make this happen.
I see.
And that worries me because familial pressure at that age is pretty intense.
Yeah, absolutely. And if her parents convinced her to pour her energy into this, what else could they pressure her to be doing? Maybe they're not unbiased.
Well, I mostly hope for her sake that she's okay, because being an attorney as a 20-something is already really challenging.
Yeah.
And as a 17-something who I don't think has a bachelor's degree, that's even tougher. And I think what we do on this podcast is we call out concerns in the law. And I'm not concerned about her work product. I'm just concerned about her.
Yeah, I think that there's a pretty low chance that her and her siblings will grow up to become well-adjusted people, which is a little unfortunate for them. Hopefully, you do your best. You can make it. You can become well-adjusted someday. I believe in you.
I'll end this story with a quote from the DA's office. The DA's office said the two used a state bar rule that allows students to apply to law school after passing college-level proficiency exams, which are standardized tests that are administered by the college board. Sophia's amazing accomplishments speak for themselves, and we could not be prouder as an office family, the Tulare County District Attorney Tim Ward said in a statement. It really is quite remarkable the success we've had with our law students, interns, and law clerks attesting to their professional dreams. The dividends for our office have been immense, and we are excited to be a part of Sophia's and Peter's continued success.
That is one wild story.
Right.
I'm really curious to see how that goes. You know, maybe as her career progresses, we might touch back in with her every once in a while to see if there's any updates on her story.
I wish her nothing but the best.
Yes, certainly.
Now, Lindsay, what do you have for me this week?
We have what I consider to be a very interesting story. I'm excited to tell this one. It is juicy. It is not necessarily fresh.
Okay.
But
it's fresh, hot, but no.
Right. Because I think I've said that last time, right? Juicy and fresh and hot, but this one's not. It's juicy and warm. Let's go with that. Gross.
Tepid, if you would.
Yeah, a little tepid, a little lukewarm.
Tell me what's going on.
So we're going to dive into the story of New York attorney Marc Dreier.
Okay.
From 2004 to 2008.
Okay.
Keep that in mind. Only 4 years. He built up a Ponzi scheme, stealing millions of dollars through the sale of false promissory notes. He also stole millions from his law firm clients.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's not, I'm guessing he's not going to say it's a Ponzi scheme. It's a inverted pyramid. It's an inverted pyramid marketing funnel. Is I'm guessing what he's going to say.
Let's reevaluate that at the end.
Okay. All right.
So I'll go through the evolution of his legal career a little bit first, and then we'll get into depth on his crimes.
Nice.
Our dear Marc Dreier was born in the year 1950. He grew up in an affluent part of Long Island. In high school, he was the student council president and voted most likely to succeed.
Nice.
Which is funny to me.
Honestly, power to him.
Power to him.
Yeah.
A classmate was quoted saying he had that flash in him from his early days. So he had that
He had that dog in him?
Yeah.
He was voted most likely to have that dog in him. Dude really locked in on a
new
level of crime.
He got his Juris Doctor from Harvard in 1975.
Okay.
Worked in litigation his whole career.
Okay. Same school as the Unabomber.
Oh. Cool. Fun fact.
Unabomber went to Harvard, so...
You learn something new every day. At least one thing. Hopefully you can learn more than that today.
I would hope so at Harvard.
So he went straight to work. It took him, at his first firm, his very first job, it took him less than 10 years to make partner at that firm.
Very impressive.
He was very well liked. 2 colleagues remembered him as charming, personable, a very good writer, and quick on his feet. They also noted they never fully trusted him. Which is going to be key to this story.
Nice. Well, he made them lots of money, so he made partner.
He made them a lot of money. He wanted to be admired more than he wanted friends. You know, he was one of those kind of guys.
Too much dog.
Too much dog, indeed. 1987, he got married to an associate at the same firm. We won't really get into her story.
Oh.
He was partner. She was associate.
Oh, that's kind of gross.
A little power imbalance.
That's very gross, actually.
They divorced in 2002.
Oh, good for her.
So, yeah.
Honestly, same energy as when a professor says, "Oh, I met my wife when she was a student."
Ooh. Yep.
French President Emmanuel Macron.
Really?
Yes. I think there's like a 13-year age gap. Yeah. Yeah.
When we're all adults, I don't mind. But if the 13 starts when someone is that young,
they're still together. Congratulations to the happy couple.
Okay. Hopefully they're happy. Congratulations, I hope.
I know. Love finds a way.
Yes, it does. Not for these two.
Not for these two. The divorce settlement was crazy.
Oh my God, it must have been. Oh wow. They divorced in 2002. We're not really going to get into her story. Yeah. They had 2 children. So he eventually left his partnership at one firm. He worked over the next 8 years. He worked at a couple of more firms.
Okay.
At one of these, very shortly after our man Dreier left, one of the founding partners was found guilty of 4 counts of fraud. Foreshadowing? Isn't that just awesome?
One of the name founding one of the founding
one of the
his
founding
firm.
partners of the firm that he worked at.
We're just such a family here.
You gotta wonder if he learned something from that man.
You really gotta hold it down for firm tradition. Let me tell you.
I'm glad that one got you. Isn't that just wild? Hey, you really following in the footsteps.
The bar hates to see these guys coming, honestly.
Seriously. Yeah, the bar must really hate this guy.
Do you think they have a little punch card? Like every time, like, you know, they get a punch every time the disciplinary board calls them, you know, like, and then like the last one's free when you get all 10. Yeah.
If you get 9 whole reprimands before you get a disbarment, then you don't have to pay any fees for your disbarment. Free disbarment for 9
malpractice insurance adjusters hate to see it, honestly.
Absolutely. They definitely hated this guy.
Can you imagine that phone call to their insurance company? Like, so... you're never gonna guess something
went down. You're gonna have fun with this one.
Okay. All right, we've got to edit
story.
some of this out. We've got to cut down.
No, I like it. Keep it all in. So, 1996, Dreier finally set out and founded his own firm with a Florida lawyer named Barrett's.
Mm-hmm.
To expand the business, they would form limited partnerships.
Okay.
So they got involved with an attorney from Oklahoma City, William Fetterman.
Okay.
That partnership didn't last long. In 2001, 5 years later, Fetterman sued Dreier, alleging that he owed him money and that he had not properly maintained client accounting, which is a very big deal.
The girls are fighting.
They're going head to head.
The girls are fighting. You love to see it. I mean, partnerships are like marriages.
Yeah.
It's really, I mean, no matter what your bylaws say, it's really tough to make a partnership truly work.
Sure. I believe it.
In a functional way. These guys are also fraudsters, and that I'm sure did not.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely didn't help.
Not grease the wheels. Yeah.
And that same year, eventually they settled for an undisclosed amount, but that same year, Dreier's original partner, Barrett's, also left the firm, which left our man Marc Dreier to fully go out on his own.
Heir to the empire.
Yes. Exactly. So he founded Dreier LLP. He grew it fast. In 6 years, 10 lawyers to 250 lawyers.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
This wasn't just like a bumpkiss. This was a...
Yeah, this was
New
York,
a guy.
Fast-moving litigator.
Dude locked in.
He locked in. But the structure for this law firm is very different.
I have no idea. These stories, I never have any idea what these guys are going to do.
I love this part. Dreier himself was the sole equity holder.
What?
In his firm.
How did he convince anyone to work with him without any path to equity?
You could make partner, quote unquote, but all that meant was billing goal bonuses and work brought in bonuses.
So basically not even non-equity partners, just senior associates.
Pretty much, yeah. But they would get the partner title, of course, because...
That makes no sense. That's also, for the record, if non-equity partners... The concept of the non-equity partner has no haters, I'm fucking dead, all right? That's such a stupid idea. Said like, hey, we're going to call you a partner, but we're not actually going to give you any of the benefits of the partner. We're just going to bonus you more.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Doesn't make sense.
And put all the social expectations of being a partner on you, but you just have to work a little more before I actually give you any equity. I think very stupid.
All of his lawyers worked on 3-year contracts.
Oh.
Yeah, how common is that? It just really doesn't strike me as common at all.
How do you, 250 people? Where do you find 250 people willing to do this?
Hey man, it was 2002. It was a different time.
Right up to 2008, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep,
exactly.
Real estate lawyers loved it. Well, actually, they loved it right up until 2009.
Oh yeah, and then they despised it.
They weren't having as much fun after that.
Yeah, seriously. It's fun just plummets. He also had his 2 kids on payroll at his law firm. Neither of his kids were lawyers, I believe. They were just on payroll.
They were kids.
Yeah.
Nepotism. Yeah.
And when his firm was structured in this way, when everything was going good, Dreier wrote an article for the National Law Journal in which he claimed that this system worked because compensation wasn't, quote, diluted by sub-performing partners.
What?
There's no other partners to do bad and then make me lose money. I'm the only partner, so we make a whole bunch of money.
Well, I mean, it worked great for him.
Yes. We now know it was really because he wanted complete control.
Yeah.
That was it.
That
He
makes
just
bad.
wanted full control over the firm operations.
Full control of firm operations, full access to 250 attorneys. I don't know how.
A lot.
It's so hard to recruit the best talent without any way to give equity.
So he might not
So
have
this
the
is
best talent.
actually a pretty priming accomplishment that he was able to scale to 250 people on 3-year contracts.
Certainly.
Extremely exploitative behavior during the boom. Though,
This man exploited every single thing around him. It appears.
do you think he charged his kid for rent? Like when they were growing up,
I'm
he's like,
paying
hey,
you a salary, but please pay me rent.
he's like, hey, little Timmy, I know it's your 9th birthday, but get in the mines. Like,
It's time to get to work.
the children, they yearn for the mines.
Those poor kids. I hope that they were able to become well-adjusted humans someday. Okay. So, but this isn't, he built all this flashy reputation up. There was a lawyer who faced him in court a number of times named Kevin Smith. Greatest, most unique name I've ever heard.
Yep.
He said, quote, "Everybody draws a line at some point. But this guy, he would do anything. Every courthouse, he'd pull up in a limo. He had suits that were cut, watches and jewelry. He was very nasty, very aggressive and contentious. He treated me like I didn't exist." This is my favorite part. He was like Gatsby without the charm.
That guy was waiting to whip that out to the press.
He's been cooking on that one for years.
He-
I loved that so much.
Dude was mauling on that for at least 8 decades.
Yes. When I read that, I loved it because I love that story so much. So eventually, according to SEC documents, Dreier owned 2 yachts, 4 jet skis, 2 Mercedes, 1 BMW, 1 Aston Martin, a Manhattan condo, 4 houses in the Hamptons, 2 properties in the British West Indies, approximately 150 pieces of valuable art, and significant shares in a number of businesses.
This is the whitest man I've ever heard of.
BMWs and Aston Martins in the Hamptons.
There's a non-zero chance this guy participated in the Atlantic slave trade. Like this guy's got to be a vampire that goes home and sleeps in a pile of blood diamonds or something similar.
Yep.
I don't know. This
On the Mona Lisa.
This cartoon. Yeah, he's actually got the original Mona Lisa.
He uses it a blanket. It really can't be that warm.
He's gonna tuck himself in at night on 16th century paint.
Probably get like arsenic poisoning from the orange
and
or
the
something
lead.
like that.
Because what is it like? My grandfather's full of asbestos. My dad's full of lead. We're full of microplastics.
Hell yeah!
Yeah. It's the progression all the way into the modern age. I think pretty soon the rest of Gen Z is just gonna be full of macroplastics. We're just gonna be eating
the big stuff,
trash bags.
Just get your like plastic cutting board and your knife. Just like shave a hunk off your cutting board.
Groceries expensive enough.
Yeah, seriously. Honestly. Just eat the plastic.
How did the SEC actually get involved?
So, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into how the SEC got involved. He got all this money. Excuse me. Well, let me restart my sentence here. There's one particular client I want to make note of. Sheldon Solo, something like that.
Okay.
He was a real estate billionaire. The two of them.
Of course he was.
Right. They had a really close relationship. I'm thinking power-hungry men who like fed off of each other.
Yep.
One opposing attorney, Errol Margolin, super cool name, said the two were very close, even comparing them to a father and son. He said he and Solo, they'd sit there in court laughing.
What?
And so he was all buddy-buddy with his clients, of course.
Why is everyone coming out of the woodwork to comment on this guy? This guy has got to have either been the biggest jerk of all time or defeated everyone in town at one point or another.
Both things. He would defeat them and then rub their fucking nose in it. That's the kind of guy he was.
Honestly.
Can't blame him.
He's kind of real for that one. Yeah, honestly.
So I want to tell a really weird story of Solo and Dreier pulling some shit.
I have no idea where you're going with this. So
February 2004. Ads were run in the New York Times and the New York Post that accused some other local real estate developer of making a mistake in a recent reorganization. These ads encouraged anyone with vested interest to reach out and contact this particular firm for potential of additional rights of recovery.
Uh-oh.
So like, you might be owed more money by this real estate developer. Contact us.
All right. Was it a class action or was it just a solicitation?
Those were just ads in the newspaper. Almost 70 people contacted this company. Eventually, the real estate developer hired some investigators. They found that the company referred to on the ad was just defunct. It only had one officer, a man named Kosta Kovachev, which I love saying.
Cartoonish villain name.
This man, Kosta Kovachev, was facing SEC charges and involved in a $20 million Ponzi scheme.
Nice. Okay.
So Dreier was connected. And all of the calls on these ads just went straight to Dreier LLP.
Nice.
So when Solo eventually discovered that it was Dreier, when the other real estate developer discovered that it was Solo and Dreier behind this, of course, took it to court.
Yep.
They were ordered to pay around $300,000 in sanctions.
Nice.
And the presiding judge said, "The whole scheme was one of the most outrageous things I've ever seen committed in my 25 years of practice." So, like, what the hell?
So he would. So he set up he or his associates set up a shell company, who then solicited the general public to contact them at this number, but really it just routed straight to his law firm.
Yup.
And this third party gentleman was not an attorney. The Kovalenko mustache twirling.
Kosta Kovachev was not an attorney at all.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were probably angling to get around solicitation restrictions. So in general, depends on the jurisdiction, you can't mass solicit clients. Like they've got, at least for a class action, they've generally, at least a few of them, the class representative has got to come to you first.
I see.
And that's also because we don't want a scummy society where
lawyers can just make up cases and shit.
And it doesn't help because solicitation is very hard to enforce.
Yeah, you have to have proof that they reached out first, right?
Like in a lot of jurisdictions, we'll have restrictions on like if what unscrupulous, usually personal injuries where you see this, where like if someone gets hit by a car, some firms have been known to pay the police or like someone in admin department at the police department or third party companies that have access to police records before the public does.
Wow.
And then call the person involved because it'll name who is involved before anyone else can.
That's sketchy as hell.
That is.
Wow. Abusive.
I've heard a lot of lawyers, particularly on LinkedIn, complain about this problem because a lot of bar offices of disciplinary counsel, called various things, but bar investigators in many states simply are unequipped to handle the scale of this issue. And the whole point of these solicitations is that they're not public. You'd have to do a massive investigation, and many bar associations just don't have those resources.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Hey, everybody. This is Gossip Without Prejudice. If you would please give us a comment or rate or share or like or send this to your friends, we would love to hear your thoughts on the show. You can go and visit us at gossipwithoutprejudice.com. Thank you so much for listening. See you soon. Bye.
Anyways, fuck that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you want to hear about how he actually did his fraud?
Yes.
So according to the courts, he started in 2004, just 2 years after starting his own firm.
Okay.
His main game.
A girl can dream.
Yeah. He didn't even have to dream. He just went right for it. I mean, she. So his main game was selling those fake promissory notes. For anyone in the audience who doesn't know what a promissory note is basically just a loan. Like, yeah.
It's a legal instrument to pay back money, a certain amount of money at a date definite.
Yes, a set date at the time the note is bought. Individuals and businesses, but mostly hedge funds was who he would sell to. He would forge the notes and financial statements to back them up and go to serious lengths to maintain his charade. He would direct his victims to wire the money into the law firm trust account. He also, as I mentioned, stole from law firm clients. Quoted straight from his guilty plea announcement from the attorney's office of the Southern District of New York. Quote, Dreier collected more than $700 million through the sale of these the fictitious promissory notes.
So is this the type of Ponzi scheme where if you actually get in early enough, you'll make money? Or is this the old-fashioned kind of Ponzi scheme where just no one made money except the guy at the top of the inverted funnel?
I can't imagine. He was the only guy. It was him and that Kosta Kovachev that I mentioned. It was just
one guy. Yeah.
That we know of. Like I think there was another guy that he contracted out for a couple, but like it was just him.
Leave it to lawyers to min-max a Ponzi scheme.
That's true.
Because you've got few people to share the pot with.
Man, I can't imagine starting this without assuming that you would someday get caught. Like, millions and millions of dollars.
Well, because
how
that's
could
what
you not?
With the Bernie Madoffs and
Yeah.
what's so interesting about Ponzi schemes in general is that many people know they're Ponzi schemes, but if you get into a Ponzi scheme, not financial advice.
Yes.
If you get into a Ponzi scheme early enough in the Ponzi scheme,
Yeah.
you can actually make a huge amount of money. The people who lose are the people who are caught holding the bag when the music stops.
Mhm.
While the music is playing, it's profitable to participate, and that's exactly what makes a Ponzi scheme so dangerous.
So you just got to be able to get out before things end.
So I'm guessing when you say selling fake promissory notes, he would sell the promissory notes, promise a certain crazy, unrealistic return, and then use the funds from the next guy who bought the promissory notes to pay off the first guys.
Ding, ding, ding.
Which means I would love to be like the second or third guy he sold these promissory notes to, because as long as I got in early, I could just reinvest for 2 or 3 rounds. The problem is if and this is also the problem with MLMs, which not friends of the podcast.
No,
yeah,
MLMs suck.
Fuck Herbalife, and other assorted MLMs. Anyways, what I was saying is that if I were to sell like an MLM product to you or a Ponzi scheme, and I'm like, you tell your friends, and then they'll tell their friends.
Come join my cohort.
After 13 rounds of that, you run out of people on Earth.
Only 13 rounds?
Yeah, 13 or 14, yeah.
Wow.
Because it's
exponential.
Yeah, it's exponential.
That's crazy.
So not that many rounds, you run out of people, which is exactly why, and no one thinks about that when they take the MLM pitch, because it's impossible to continue that chain for very long. And that's also why they eventually go bust. But what made people like Bernie Madoff or other fraudsters so smart is that if you offer too aggressive of a term, like if you're something crazy, like I'll guarantee you 20% year over year gains, which is insane.
So way too much.
Yeah, way too much. But if you turn around and say, I'll offer you 13%, because S&P 500 97-year average is something like 7 to 9% per year. If you offer like 13%, that's a lot of money, but it's not like an outrageous amount of money.
It's plausible.
Yes, those are it's significant but plausible. Those are the schemes that are the most dangerous because they tend to run for the longest. They do also eventually get caught, but they have much more life because they don't try and shoot for the stars. And it's easier to pay back the last round of investors and keep the fraud going.
Yeah. So he did pay folks back to keep this going. I mean, he only had it going for 4 years.
Yeah.
But
before he ran out of people on Earth.
It was, So in total, from both the promissory notes and his law firm clients that he stole from, that was more than $700 million. But after paying people back, in total, what he stole exceeds $400 million.
Good
So
grief.
still hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh my God.
But at least he paid back 300,000. Right?
300,000.
I mean, 300,000 million.
300,000 million billion.
300, yeah.
Quintillion.
Yes.
Actually, it's funny because that's what actually happened with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. Prosecutors actually managed to pay back like the vast majority of account holders with interest. I think it's something like with like 8 to 13% interest.
That's pretty cool.
What they've lost. I think people with less than $150,000 in their account. So recovery efforts are actually very significant when the federal government is involved.
Hopefully it worked here too.
Yeah.
There's already enough of a story. We're not going to get into the recovery and restitution, but we'll get back into it here. So Solo from before, that real estate developer, they'd worked together for years. He finally fired Dreier in 2006 for bungling a couple of cases pretty badly, but it wasn't over. Dreier pretended to still be one of Solo's attorneys, and he would use that position to sell those promissory notes.
No.
Yeah, claiming that Solo was trying to raise money for a project.
No.
Yup.
That's, goddamn.
One particular, towards the end here, I think after this, between 2006 and 2008, if I remember correctly, he sold $115 million of notes to one hedge fund, $13.5 million to another, and then $100 million to a third, all under Solo's name.
That's the fucking mistake, is they went after huge institutions with the funds, the resources, and most importantly, the knowledge and education to come back after him.
And they hid behind another institution with resources.
Okay.
So eventually these hedge funds started getting kind of suspicious. One of them demanded a meeting with Solo's team to
Okay.
actually make sure that this is legit.
Hey, dude, is this legit? If you're
Google, is this legit?
Yeah, isn't financial advice, but if you're ever wondering if the financial institution that you're participating in isn't real, it's not real. You shouldn't. Yeah, if you even have to ask that, you're cooked. Get the fuck out.
Take as much of your money as you can and bolt.
Divest immediately. If you have to wonder, is this thing real when you're in it? It's not.
That's right.
Get out. And that's so interesting. That's actually one of the reasons why we do this podcast is because probably the reason why it fell apart relatively quickly is because he was lending to people with financial knowledge, financial analysis knowledge. Yes. If he'd been ripping off the public like Jordan Belford, who just bilked tend to be bilking everyday people out of like a call center in the 90s, it's way harder to catch because the impact is distributed, the benefits are concentrated, and you're dealing with the people who don't know or can't know better. Yeah. This podcast is designed to educate you on what to watch out for by profiling the stories. Shameless plug. Please like, subscribe.
Oh yes, please.
And so this is just great, such a great example of that.
Yeah. It's crazy, and it honestly it gets crazier. I love this story, guys. So Dreier was selling all these millions of dollars to these hedge funds. They started getting suspicious. One of them said, "We need to meet with Solo's team. Otherwise, we're not buying these things." Dreier called up his old buddy Kosta Kovachev from the real estate scheme.
The real estate fixer. Okay.
Arranged a meeting. First, Dreier and Kovachev came into Solo's building and told the receptionist that they had a meeting with the company's CEO.
Okay.
And then they made it to the conference room. Dreier was then able to intercept the two hedge fund managers as they entered the building. He led them up to the room where the CEO was waiting, and it was Kosta Kovachev, and they successfully fooled the fund managers into thinking that this was really Solo Realty.
And that's so interesting because do we have any more details about how that meeting went, or we just know the outcome?
The only other remaining thing that we know is that the actual CEO of Solo's Realty company walked past the room while the meeting was happening. He saw Dreier, thought, that's kind of odd, and then just kept walking. Isn't that crazy?
This is truly the stupidest timeline.
Yeah. And that's it. That's all we know about that meeting.
It's kind of weird. Okay, well, it's so interesting. Humans are so consistently incapable of discerning between confidence and competency. Not just an American problem, but consistently in every single culture throughout time, humans everywhere are really perceptible to confidence as a proxy for proper competence.
Fake it till you make it.
Yes, and too often they make it.
Yes.
Or too often. This is such a great example of that.
Yeah. So, isn't that crazy? I love that one. So, of course, things started falling apart. Okay. After not too long, because he was too ambitious with it, buyers started reaching out directly to Solo's company.
Uh-oh.
Surprise, of course. So it was October of 2008 that things really started to heat up. Dreier himself owed millions of dollars, but what no one knew was the law firm was also broke. Attorneys were questioning about their clients' literal missing funds, but Dreier couldn't even afford to pay December insurance premiums and rent for his law firm.
He went without insurance?
He tried not to.
Clearly that went well for him.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, man, first off, what's this broke-ass bitch doing not prepaying his insurance at the start of the year?
Yeah.
That's what Hemmat Law does.
Probably couldn't afford it then either. He had some schemes to run.
We pay one giant premium usually January, and then we forget about it until it comes to next year when they raise the rate to 18% for no reason.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What's this guy paying rent at, or...
This is a New York law firm. I'm sure they had one of those.
250 people. Good grief. Okay.
Yup. So, in November 2008, Solo's company, his Solo Realty's accountant, started calling Dreier saying, "Hey man, what the hell's going on here?" They knew something was up. Dreier was able to feign ignorance for a time, but of course he seemed to think that one more scheme could solve everything. Classic.
What is he going to steal the moon?
Nice. Go Gru style.
Yeah, he's gonna get in his wacky mobile and
Kosta Kovachev is behind him with goggles and overalls on.
Goggles.
One hair coming out of his head.
I feel like what's the Vector.
Oh yeah, the orange and white.
Orange guy that likes dry humping things.
Ugh.
That's what he does.
You've watched
stop
that
booing
way
me.
more recently
Stop,
than I have.
Stop booing me. I'm right.
No, Vector.
I built my For You page brick by brick. I should remind you. I get
One
clips
swipe
of
at
the
a
first.
time.
Yeah, I get clips of the first Despicable Me movie on occasion. I'm like, I didn't ask for this.
That's so funny. TikTok is magical. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Anyways, one more reckless move, one more scheme.
Okay.
December 2nd, 2008, Dreier flew to Toronto to meet with the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan.
Oh, good God.
Which happened to be one of the largest retirement funds in Canada.
Oh, don't give him that money.
don't give him that money.
It
actually wasn't. Okay, we'll get there. He met with one of their in-house lawyers, but he kept it short.
Okay.
After the meeting, he didn't leave, though. He hung around in the lobby for about an hour until he spotted the absurdly rich New York executive / hedge fund owner Steinberg, was this man's name.
Mm-hmm.
They had never met in person, but they had recently talked over the phone. Dreier had been trying to sell Steinberg $44.7 million of his bogus notes. He'd told Steinberg that those notes were backed by the Ontario Teachers Plan. Oh. At which point, Steinberg said, "Oh, well, let me meet with someone from the pension plan." So
did he call in his minion again to play act as someone?
Didn't need one this time.
He didn't need one.
He didn't bring Kosta Kovachev to Canada with him.
Okay.
So
what is this? What are they feeding these analysts that keep falling for this? This is crazy.
This is where things really start to fall apart, though. Remember, that was December 2nd.
Okay.
That he initiated this. So Dreier entered the building. I'm sorry. Blah, 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 blah. So Steinberg wanted to meet someone from the plan directly. Dreier had his short meeting with the plan's lawyers, and then he left, but he hung around in the lobby. When he saw Steinberg enter, he grabbed him before anyone else could and introduced himself as one of the lawyers that he had just met. And he even handed Steinberg that lawyer's business card and passed it off as his own. So he fully impersonated one of the lawyers of this pension plan, which is absolutely crazy. He brought Steinberg upstairs. They went into one of the meeting rooms.
Okay.
Dreier showed him some of those classic false documents.
Okay.
But Steinberg seemed to know something was up.
Smart cookie.
Dreier aborted the mission, quickly left. He's like,
was the jig up?
The jig is up. Steinberg followed him downstairs, and as Dreier walked out, Steinberg leaned over to one of the receptionists and says, "Is that one of your lawyers?" And the receptionist goes, "No." And Dreier's fate was sealed.
Got him.
Isn't that wild? So, of course, the teacher's pension plan contacted the authorities. He was arrested by Toronto police that very day.
Oh, the Canadians got him.
Yes.
Nice.
Because he was impersonating a Canadian lawyer.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's actually true. Yeah. Yep. I thought about that.
His firm started panicking and also realizing what must have happened to their client's missing funds.
Honestly, good thing he didn't have a car, else he would have outrun the Mounties.
It's I read a few good outrun the Mounties. Nice.
Go RCMP. Let's go. Just a Royal Canadian Mounties joke for all 2 Canadians in the audience.
We're so worldly here at Gossip Without Prejudice.
All right.
Another thing to note, since Dreier was the only equity holder of his firm,
it just vanished.
If he goes to jail, poof, those 250 lawyers are out of a job, let alone all the paralegals and support staff that I'm sure they had.
Yeah.
So everything's starting to really unravel for Dreier here. A couple of days in Toronto jail, he bails himself out and was able to arrange one more transfer of client funds into his personal account.
He got the buzzer shot in. Okay. What was do we know the amount?
We do not. We do not know that amount.
It was probably just like enough to party in Dubai for a weekend or something.
Yeah, or maybe like line up
another
flight out of town and 2 or 3 million.
It's his go bag.
Exactly.
Okay. It's just a little treat.
Yeah.
It's just a little treat for him.
Just a little client funds treat. So he got back to New York a few days later, December 7th, and right on the tarmac, he was arrested.
Again?
Yup.
Nice.
By the New York, I'm sorry, I'm not sure which governing
Americans
body.
this time.
Americans arrested him because he had been under investigation for a little while.
Oh, okay. The SEC
because
was hunting.
Solo Realty had also contacted the federal authorities. Little did Dreier know.
So he really pulled have you seen Billions?
No.
The show?
I have not.
There's a character named Bobby Axelrod. He's pretty much like the same thing, but instead of a lawyer, he's a hedge fund billionaire.
Oh.
He's constantly getting arrested and chased by authorities across the globe.
Nice.
as he performs every type of insider trading and fraud crime
Fun.
that exists.
Those are my favorites.
This is the same energy, honestly. Good for him. and
But-
the bar was nowhere to be seen yet.
That's right.
Okay.
Oh, the bar has nothing to do with this.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Self-policing our own. really leaving it to the civilians on this one, guys. Well done.
Now that I think about it, I did all my research. I've got so many sources. Not one single one mentioned the New York State Bar now that I think about it.
The bar in the background is just like, us too, guys. We'll get them. Thanks for getting them for us. Right, wait, shout out to the New York State Bar Association.
And this is where the end of our story hits. He was arrested December 2008. After 8 months of investigation and trial, Dreier was sentenced to 20 years in prison.
And when was he sentenced?
July 13th, 2009.
Okay, that took a while. Yeah, that took a long while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. 2009, so he's still in jail.
Yes. His release date is June 30th, 2025.
Oh,
so
shit.
he's got 7 months left at time of recording.
We should bring him on the podcast.
Please no.
That would
I don't want to talk to Marc Dreier.
That would be sick.
Remember, he's Gatsby without the charm. And he's been in prison for years and years.
Now, the prison has got to have evened him out a little bit.
See, and the thing now, he's not in prison. He is in a halfway house.
Oh, he's in a halfway house.
A residential reentry center in New York.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, but isn't it it's 2 years before he's, or
He
maybe
is
15 months.
74 years old.
Oh.
I don't know if that has anything to do with that. That's how old he is now.
They probably ran out of space and they're like, this guy's not a killer.
Boot.
Yeah, just keep him from owning any businesses anywhere.
He just does the money shit. Just don't let him handle money.
Which sucks. It really speaks to another problem endemic in the criminal justice system. White collar criminals routinely receive lighter sentences than petty crime.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that their actions have way wider ramifications for society.
I would have been perfectly fine putting this man to jail for life.
Oh, it should have been.
But what he was found guilty of.
Okay.
This is the last piece of information I've got here. 1 count of conspiracy to commit securities and wire fraud. 1 count of securities fraud. 1 count of money laundering.
Okay.
And 5 counts of wire fraud. And that's what our man Marc Dreier was found guilty of.
Thank God.
Thank God he was found guilty.
And presumably he has been disbarred, right?
Presumably, yeah.
Presumably. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
New York.
I didn't even bother to check the New York bar website.
It would be so funny if they didn't disbar him.
It would be extremely hilarious. Oh, no. And that's the story of Marc Dreier.
Ponzi schemes are up there with one of the very few crimes that's it's not funny at all. That being said, it's a little funny. It's a little funny, particularly since it sounds like he was kind of just stealing from big institutions.
Yes.
Which sometimes, the pension funds of everyday people, not good.
Right.
That being said, I'm a little bit more comfortable with him stealing from hedge funds.
Yes, agreed. However, he didn't just steal from hedge funds.
Yeah.
He stole from his clients' accounts. Don't quote me on this, but if I remember right, there was one particular story where he very, very close to the end here, he stole something like $1 million from a sports player that he had represented, and he put that straight towards a portion of a private jet.
That's cartoonishly evil. What
Isn't it?
What is he invested in? An orphan crushing machine company?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it was either basketball or baseball. He stole from this.
He probably started a nonprofit specifically dedicated to raising the rent on single mothers.
Oh, Dreier. Burn in hell.
all new heights of cartoonish evil.
Yeah.
But you know what's not cartoonishly evil, Lindsay?
What is that?
This week's rendition of LTBE, Lindsay takes the bar exam. Are you ready for our weekly segment?
Yes, indeed I am.
Perfect. So today, let me pull up the materials here. Today we have got a question about jurisdiction.
Okay.
If it loads. There we go.
And reminder, I am not a lawyer.
Yeah.
And neither is John.
Yeah, neither is John. Don't get legal advice from a podcast.
Thank you.
But today, are you ready for your question?
Yes, I'm so ready. I'm going to nail it.
All right. A woman from state A filed an action against a retailer in a state court in state B, in a different state. The complaint alleged that the retailer had not delivered $100,000 worth of goods for which the woman had paid. 20 days after being served, the retailer, which is incorporated in state C, has its principal place of business in state B, filed a notice for removal to federal district court in state B. Was the action properly removed? This one's pretty convoluted, so I'm happy to read it to you again.
What are my options? What are the multiple choices?
A, no, because the notice of removal was not timely filed. B, no, because the retailer is a citizen of state B. C, yes, because the parties are citizens of different states and more than $75,000 is in controversy. And D, yes, because the retailer is a citizen of both state B and state C.
And they filed it to be federal from state B?
Yes.
So it would have gone into one of the district courts of state.
But though, I will give you a hint, don't focus on the districts. The only distinction the question cares about is state versus federal.
And whether or not the motion was accepted.
Yes. Let me read you the prompt again.
Please.
A woman from state A filed an action against a retailer in state B. State court in state B.
She filed it in state B.
In state court.
Okay, cool.
In state court in state B. That's the weird thing about it. In state court in the other state.
Okay.
The complaint alleged that the retailer had not delivered $100,000 worth of goods for which the woman had paid. 20 days after being served, the retailer, which is incorporated in state C, has its principal place of business in state B, filed a notice of removal in federal court from state court B. Was the action properly removed? Should they be in federal court, basically?
I'm going to say yes, that they should be in federal court. This is one of the things I've done a lot of research for this show, right? I'm not a lawyer, but I got some legal back, but this is totally out of my encompassing knowledge. I'm thinking that yes, it would go to federal court, but I don't know which of those two answers it would be. Can you read me those two again, please?
The two yeses?
Yes, please.
Yes, because the parties are citizens of different states and more than $75,000 is in controversy. D, yes, because the retailer is a citizen of both state B and C. Yeah,
I'm thinking yes, because the realtor is a citizen of two states. I think that that's the correct answer.
Are you locking that in?
Locking it in.
That is incorrect.
Damn it! Who saw that one coming?
So this one requires a lot of specialized knowledge, of which we did not equip Lindsey. So the answer is B, no, because the retailer is a citizen of state B.
Ah, okay. So it wouldn't go to federal court at all.
And that's because there's a couple layers to this question. So
this is an onion of a question.
To be removed to federal jurisdiction, you have to have a couple of things. You either have to have an original federal question, or, and this is where this question resides, you have to have something called complete diversity. Diversity jurisdiction exists when there is complete separation of citizenship among the parties and the amount in controversy exceeds $75,000.
So if she had been in state A and the the company was exclusively in state C, then it would have gone federal?
Then it's acceptable to go. So that's why
since the company spans two states.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So the other layers of this question is the $75,000. So it's complete diversity and a sufficient amount in controversy, $100,000. That's why the question is like $100,000. It's signaling to you that there's a sufficient threshold in dispute. And that is a amount in dispute separate from attorney's fees spent. So you can't go into federal court for over $10,000 and then spend $65,000 on attorneys. The amount actually in dispute for the nexus of the facts has to be $75,000. That was a question I asked one of my law professors, and he told me it was a stupid question. So I just wanted to pass that on to the audience. So the layers to this question is that a business has general minimum contact in two places. It's a citizen of the place in which it is incorporated, and it is the citizen of the place where it does its principal business, if that is a different place. The reason that you cannot have federal jurisdiction here is because it's a citizen of state B where they do business. They're incorporated in state C, but they are also in state B where she filed, and that means both the plaintiff and the defendant are in the same state, and that means you can't remove it to federal jurisdiction.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was multiple layers to that question. We can eliminate answers because answer D, yes, because the retailer is a citizen of both state B and C. That's exactly why it's not. That was actually a hint from the test writers to signal to you that like they're citizens of both.
Those cleverer than I.
Yes. Answer C, yes, because the parties are citizens of different states and more than 75,000 is in controversy. That's actually why it's not. Again, they're both hints towards answer B. Answer A is eliminated because the notice of removal was not timely filed. Kind of irrelevant. It's just a red herring. Plus, it's 20 days. And I believe under the federal rules of procedure, that's sufficient.
Yeah, 20 days really didn't sound like too long. I would expect maybe like anywhere between 30 and 60. 30 minimum.
I believe in federal
maximum.
court, too, most people accept service of federal lawsuits because if you force someone to serve you at their expense, the federal rules of procedure require you to pay for the service. So most people, and you get additional time to answer if you accept service voluntarily. It's a fantastic setup. I hate that Washington state courts don't do it that way because it incentivizes cooperation. But yes, the answer is B, Lindsey. I'm sorry. Yet another defeat.
I suppose I'll just have to take this one on the shoulder. Is that what they say? Take the one on the shoulder?
I think take it on the chin.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us for another week of Gossip Without Prejudice. My name is John. Lindsey's name is Lindsey. Please like, subscribe. If you have a story you want us to share, anonymize, and then repackage to the audience writ large, please find us at gossipwithoutprejudice.com. We would love to hear from you. The law is a crazy and scary place.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.